Hey people, what's up? It's MyklSkeleton here. It's been 2 months since I made my how to solve a 3x3 Rubik's video. That was the last step. That was orienting and permuting the corner pieces of the last layer. And rewatching it, I'm not exactly happy with that video. I said some things that are iffy in there, and the formulas though were correct, but they're the very slow ones. You know, if you don't cube very often, but you like to remember how to solve a cube, that's a good way of remembering it. R inverse D2R is a good one, and it makes sense if you think about what you're doing to the corners, but it's very slow and tedious, and you do that a million times every solve, and you get sick of it fast. Well, I got some different ones for you for the different cases that can come up, and they're a little trickier to remember, but they're just as intuitive if you think about what it's doing to the corners. So it shouldn't be a problem there. And also, I'm gonna do another algorithm I use for orienting the edges of the last layer, which also was in the video before that one, and I've since changed one of my algorithms for that, and I think it's better. And just go over some things maybe I slept over a little too quickly. And so I hope you enjoy. Let's do it. Okay, let's get this started. I first want to go over the two different 3 cycles for the last layer corners. This is the clockwise 3 cycle. We want this blue-orange corner piece to come back here, and this one to go here, and this one to go here, and that's clockwise between 3 pieces. Now, if you use the normal R prime D2R method and you store one of your corners down here and then bring it to where you want it, you have to do that 3 times to get everything in the right spot. And you can kind of cut out one of those steps by utilizing the corner that you're storing. And so to utilize that corner, we're going to put one of our corners that needs to be solved down there. And the easiest one to put down there is this back left one. So we're going to do that with an L prime move. That's a little L prime. You move these 2 layers counterclockwise, and that stores that corner down here. Now, where did that corner need to go? That was the green-orange corner, and that needed to go right here. So after we do that, we want to put the corner that it needs to go right here, and that is a U move. So we're going to bring this corner up here, and while we're doing that, we're storing this corner down there, and then we'll put it where it needs to go. And we do that with our normal move, which was R prime D2R. So now we brought that corner that was there up into its right position, and all we need to do now is put this corner that's down there right here, and that's also where that corner, this blue-orange corner, needs to go. So we do that with a U prime and then an R prime D2R 2 at the end to end it, and then you've solved it. Now we can do the other case using the exact same reasoning. So here we have the counterclockwise 3 cycle where this corner needs to come back here, this one needs to go over here, and this one, our buffer position, needs to actually come up here, which is perfect. So when we do our 2-layer L prime move, this piece needs to get swapped with this piece. So then we go R inverse D2R. That swapped them. Now this piece needed to get swapped with that piece. So we do a U. Then we go R inverse D2R. Now that swapped them. Now everything, all the corners are in the right position. We just got to put back together the cube with a U inverse and an R. Okay, if you don't have a 3 cycle, you probably have 2 cycles, or your cube is solved. And one of the 2 cycles is the diagonal case. So in this case, this corner needs to come back there, and vice versa. That corner needs to come back there. The interesting thing about this, you can think about it as permuting the corners diagonally, or if you do U2, you can actually think about it as permuting the edges diagonally, because of, the corners will be solved. And to intuitively think about it, you would think about it as like edges, why this algorithm works. But I actually like to do the U2 at the end, so I would solve it like corners. Now, this algorithm uses M slice moves. M is the middle layer, and it moves like L. So it moves like this. This is the M direction. The other direction is M prime. And I'm really no good at doing M moves. As you can see, I have to hold the cube all funky to do it. And instead of doing an M move like that, say, or an M2 move like that, I would rather do R2, that's a little r2, and then R2 prime. And that moves my M. I actually move 2 layers, but I bring the outer layer back after I move it. So it's not actually doing anything to it. I think that's the easiest way to do it. For me, people can do this really fast, the M slice. But I'm not gonna, when I do this algorithm, I'm not gonna say little r2, R2 prime, because that makes the algorithm sound really long. I'm gonna say M2. That's M2. Okay? So here it is, without further ado, right? And it's not that hard to understand. So you want to do M2U, M2U2, M2U, M2U2. And there you go. So the other 2 cycle that can come up is the one where they're next to each other. So in this case, this blue red corner actually needs to get swapped with this corner. And these 2 corners need to get swapped also. And they're not diagonal from each other. Now this algorithm looks really scary and it sounds really scary, but actually if you practice it enough times, it's not too bad. And I would describe it as like a battle of the index fingers, because you're always doing like an L move or an L prime move or an R and an R prime move, and you're interspersing it with U. So it's always like L U, R prime U, R prime U prime, you know, it goes back and forth like that. So you're kind of always doing this. And that's the way I think about it. So my tips for this one are that notice that every other move is either U or U prime, and they alternate. So if the last if the last one was U, the next one's going to be U prime, so on and so forth. And then in between those U moves, you have L and R moves. The first 2 don't really fit the pattern, but then it goes R, L, R prime, and then it goes L, R, L prime. Now, that probably sounded complicated, but let me just show it to you, and I think it'll make sense. So we start off with a double layer, little L prime, and a U prime. Then we go a single layer L prime with a U. And this is where the battle begins. Then we go R, U prime, L, U, R prime, U prime. And then we do it with the L. So then we go L, U, U, R, U prime, L prime, U. And you're done. And I had to do that slow because I don't usually think of what I'm doing, and especially with the U part, I don't normally think of it with U. So this is how I would normally think of it. I would normally think of it as a double layer L prime, single layer L prime. I would go R, L, R prime. Then I would do L, R, L prime. Yeah, and that swaps them just like that. So yeah, I'm gonna do that one more time for the people at home. All right, watch it closely. So it's a double layer L prime, and it's a single layer L prime. I almost did that wrong. And then we alternate R, L, R prime, and L, R, L prime. There we go. Okay, there's one last thing I'd like to go over, and that's orienting the last layer edges. If you have the fish symbol, my new algorithm is actually, instead of to have it up here, is to put it down here. And then you can do it exactly like the line case, except for you do double layer F turns. So you're going to start out with a double layer F turn like that. Then you're going to go R, U, R prime, U prime, and then a double layer F turn to bring it back. And that pops all the edges up. And I like that a lot better, especially because when you do the case where there's only a dot, then let's see if I can set that up actually. So when you have the case where there's only a dot, what you first do is the one for a line, right? And then you're left with the fish symbol, and it's already down here. Now, normally you would have to do a U2 to bring it up there, but it's already down there, so then you can just do that to bring it up, and that's why I like it a lot better. Well, guys, that's all I got time for today. I hope maybe you learned a new algorithm or two and you can start practicing it during your solves, and it speeds you up a little bit. I know it did me when I first learned these. I'd also like to give a shout out to Ralph. That's user 6balf9 on YouTube. He's my newest subscriber to my videos, and looks like he's joined WiseOz too. And I hope he becomes active and comments on WiseOz a little bit. I know it's a bit confusing at first, but once you get used to it, it's a pretty cool site. And as always, you can see more of my videos either on YouTube or on WiseOz. That's www.wiseoz.com/mechanicalpuzzles. All right, MyklSkeleton out.